Hello traders, this is the first of two lessons on fundamental analysis. The reason this section is so short is because, like I said before, I'm primarily a technical trader. I do pay attention to fundamentals and I do trade them from time to time, but I usually rely on technicals, but it's worth spending some time on. And so that's what we're going to do today. Fundamental data comes in many forms, like I said before. It's a consequence of politics, economic reports, global events like war and catastrophes, all fundamental things that affect people's outlook on currencies and therefore affects price data. One of the first things you can start looking at when you're diving into fundamental analysis is economic reports. Price reacts to economic reports in many ways. Sometimes if it's thought that the Fed might change the interest rate for the US, say, speculators might put so much into this that there will be a huge rally before the actual rate comes out. And so it's kind of a people are forecasting it. Other times, the rate will come out and it might be positive and there's no movement before it, or a report, not a rate, but like say like retail sales comes out and it comes out positive. And there's no movement before it, but because it doesn't come out as positive it was supposed to, it might reverse direction. So it's kind of tricky to get a hold of this, but usually there's a trend, like price might react this way to this report for the 2 or 3 months in a row, and then its behavior will change. So you're trying to find a rhythm or kind of a pattern into how the market's reacting to certain reports, and that's how you use them. So to start with, I just thought I'd show you for this short video some of the main ones you might want to focus on to begin with. The first one is retail sales. This is simply the retail market and their sales for the month. Is there an increase, a percentage increase, or a percent decrease? Like like Walmart and Shopko's of the world. The second one is consumer price index, and this is a measure of how much consumers are willing to pay for goods and services purchased within the household. And it's the measure of change. Is it a positive change or is it a negative change? And this is represented in percentage. Is it dropping 2% or is it raising 2%? PPI is Producer Price Index. This is the amount that producers are getting for their goods. So, for instance, and it's always domestic, so PPI for US is only due to how much producers are getting. That's the difference. Consumers are willing to pay something, right? Here, producers, this is what producers are getting for, but it's only domestically. The thing of it is, the reason that these two aren't always the same is because we live in a world of international goods. So not everything that we have in the US obviously is produced in the US. So go ahead and look at anything you buy and look where it was made. Chances are, I'd say at least 50% of what you buy was not made in the US. And that's why there's kind of the differences between this. Discrepancies is what I was trying to say. Sorry. I need a drink of water. The next one is gross domestic product. It's the market value of kind of the goods and services produced by a country in some time frame. So there's monthly, quarterly, yearly. It's that's all. We'll get into it for right now. If you want to look up more on it, taking economics class is probably the best thing to do. It's kind of a complicated thing. Just understand, it's a good measure of a country's health, and it's a good thing. It's a good idea to pay attention to it. Non-farm payrolls are basically how many jobs were created for that month, or how many jobs were lost in that month, or that quarter, or whatever it may be. Put any employment data, because it could be a number of jobs lost, and how many jobless claims there were, initial initially. The unemployment rate is a big one. Basically, go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and take a look at all the things they release. There's anything from unemployment rate to averagely hourly earnings to payroll unemployment to productivity to imports to these all affect the employment. But non-farm payrolls are the biggest. So start there. And the mother lode, interest rate decisions. This doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it can move the market hundreds of pips. These things affect the interest rate affect the market from a long-term basis, and these all in fact impact how a federal bank might change an interest rate. So it's important to pay attention to these. Even if you're not trading these, you should pay attention to it, because if a country's health looks like it's getting worse, and you might want to start being bearish on that currency rather than bullish, and looking for setups that are in that direction, technically, which is kind of a smart thing to do. The other reason to pay attention to is because when these reports come out, they have impacts on the market. So let's take a look at an economic calendar. This is an economic calendar. If you haven't looked at these before, they're not only are they here, they're also on you. If you have MetaTrader, right here, if you click on the news portion of your trading platform, any economic data will come out right here. And so, let's see if we can find one real quick. All this is fundamental data. See if there's anyone that we have on our list. That's what I'm mostly looking for. Can't really see anything, but it'll come out right there. I promise you. But I usually use an outside source one because usually the feeds are faster. So, and when you're trading the news, it's all about speed. But if you don't trade it, what you should do is look at a calendar and note the time. Do not trade during this time. Like right here. 1800 hours GMT time, right? So, it's noon, our time, Eastern Standard Time. But, so, what happened? The federal interest rate decision came out. I would not trade during this. Probably not at least a half an hour before and at least a half an hour to an hour after. The market will react to this data. Let's quickly look at how to read this. This is the volatility. How much is the market going to react to it? Generally, any economic report has these on it. Obviously, 1 explanation point is slight, 3 is extreme. I would, generally speaking, this is true, but it's not always the case. And like I said, sometimes the market has already reacted to the report before it happened. You got to kind of excuse that. That just means a new report came out. It dings for me. Which is also why it is an outside thing, because it tells me when they're coming out. The big ones, you don't have to pay attention to all of these, but the manufacturing index I would. If these have 3 on them, then watch out. Mark it on your chart. This is what I used to do. Like, let's for instance say this interest rate decision's coming out at 5:45, or it's 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I live in the Mountain Standard time zone. But at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time, there's an interest rate coming out. So, go to MetaTrader, and this is what I used to do. Right before it, let's look at, for instance, 1, 2. Alright, say it comes out, like right here. Say it comes in, let's say it came out earlier, right? So at 5, right before it, and at 6, say, just because I'm on the hour time frame. Right after it, I would mark it. I obviously can't do it right now because it's too far ahead of time. But that way at least you kind of have a block of time that you know there's a decision coming out and you shouldn't trade it. Or you shouldn't be looking for technicals to trade it anyway. You can trade that decision, but not based on technicals for the time being. So look, be wary of that. And, here's another one. Look, I said non-farm payrolls are coming out this week, so be wary of these. These are usually come out at the beginning of the month. So I think, I don't know, you probably won't have these in your hand before Friday, but just know that these come out, interest rates and non-farm payrolls often come out at the beginning of the month. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. The next one, I might show you how to trade the news and actually how to set it up and be successful at it. There's a couple different strategies. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.